Good Friday morning. It is a feel-good Friday without football this weekend, but of course, next weekend it is Super Bowl 57, and that's where we will be spending the week out at the site of Super Bowl 57 in Phoenix with the Chiefs and the Eagles. And just as the show was wrapping up yesterday, I looked down at my phone as you were preparing to do your Saturday morning and your podcast with Mike Valenti. I said, what did Julian Love just say? I saw this clip. I said, what? Why would he do that? As he just trashes the Eagles head coach. Yes, the Eagles head coach that is coaching the team that absolutely crushed the New York Giants. He said Nick Sirianni was in for a free ride. Now, that's an interesting quote. Forget the Kelsey brothers. Forget Andy Reid and the Eagles. Julian Love going right after the head coach of a division rival. Whoa. We've got that. We've got a fun Knicks win. Plenty of stuff. I was a coach last night at a college basketball game. I will tell you about that as well. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Hey, good morning, G. I'm doing great. So is R.J. Barrett this morning, by the way. A lot better after his latest benching and came out and really proved that, you got to keep the intensity up. It's all about keeping intensity up, but it's hard to do that for an 82-game season, regardless of basketball or hockey. I really don't know how the guys do it, to be honest with you. And he got a little bit of a wake-up call, and then the good news is that he basically came back and didn't let it affect his game. As a matter of fact, he took his game to another level, which is good, which is really good. The other thing, it's kind of interesting. You were talking about being this college basketball guy last night.
Yeah.
This assistant coach with Hofstra. Mm-hmm. And I have to tell you, I'm watching the score on my phone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, just win by four, because Eddie, the pick jockey, picked Hofstra to cover.
Yep.
And the number was 3.5. And here you are with a free throw at the end of the game that actually pushes it to 4. And I didn't know whether to be happy. I was really happy for you because I know this was a big thing for you last night.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was like, there was something satisfying about the whole thing.
Oh, of course. You're telling me. I mean, it just was full circle. I was worried about the picks jockey because I didn't want people to be mad at Hofstra if they didn't cover and they weren't playing great in the first half. And this was a team that had beaten them, Towson, the last time they met pretty handily. And then there was just this massive comeback. They were nailing their threes in the second half, and they pulled away there at the very end for those who wanted the 3.5. But what an experience. I'll tell you all about it as the show goes on, but it was just as cool as it gets to be on the bench and actually be a part of like everything the coaches did. They allowed me to be a part of every one of their pregame meetings, halftime, the adjustments in the locker room before the game, in the locker room at halftime, after the game to celebrate. So it was tremendous. And by the way, they're in first place now in their conference, the CAA.
Man,
so very, very cool.
You are such a front runner. It's not even
Oh,
funny.
It's great. Yeah. And
now that they're in first place, you're all over them.
Yeah, I am 100% all over them. And I'm now the good luck charm locally. I go to an Islander game. They were on a bad streak, and look at that. They broke that streak, and they won. And they won 2 in a row. And now they had a tough time with Towson the last time, Hofstra. I show up, victory. I have now turned this whole thing around. Maybe that Vikings-Giants game has turned this whole mush thing around for me, and all of a sudden, for the first time in my life, I'm a good luck charm.
Gio's living his best life now, as we see, and that was great for you last night. I mean, that was just great for us locally, too, for that matter. And like I said, for Eddie the Picks jockey, man, I was just pleased to win this game. So anyway, that was great. And saw yesterday where Aaron Rodgers said there's one team that he's definitely not going to.
Yeah, the 49ers. That's right. Said that at Pebble Beach.
Yeah, it wasn't well, he's probably right about that simply because they're in the NFC. And he was asked a direct question, and he gave a direct answer.
Yeah, and I still think that he holds the whole draft thing against the 49ers. And he probably just never wants to play there.
You know what? I mean,
I'm telling you, he's that type of guy to hold a grudge. You see?
Yeah, but I understand. It's not really the organization that is there now that made those choices. You know what I'm saying? These are totally different people. And by the way, it's not the fact that he holds a grudge. He knows that Green Bay is not going to send him to the 49ers because essentially if he went to the 49ers and they figured out somehow to fit him under their salary cap, then they would be the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl.
That's right.
So why would Green Bay do that?
They wouldn't, and I don't believe that they would trade him anywhere in the NFC. So it reminds me, because we talked all the parallels with Favre, and this brings me back to when you took me to my second Vikings-Packers Monday Night Football game. The first one was Aaron Rodgers' first start, and you were still doing Westwood, and you took me to that at Lambeau. The next year is when the Vikings had Favre. It was 2009 season. And I remember I was in the press box, and Ted Thompson, who has since passed away, and Mark Murphy, who is still there, were watching this in front of me.
Green Bay GM and Green Bay president.
That's right. So they're watching this, and it's Favre. He first played against them in the Metrodome. So this was the Metrodome in Minnesota. That was the first time Favre played the Packers. And when I tell you, I could see these guys, the veins in their head pulsating with anger and just anxiety with what was going on because Favre had found his way not only back into the conference, but back into the division with a team they couldn't stand. And here he was having this season that was incredible, and he's beating the Packers. These guys were absolutely livid about it, and I got to see that with a smile on my face. And I know that Mark Murphy is still there, and there's no way if they can avoid it, they are going to allow Aaron Rodgers to be in the conference. If it works out some way where he goes to place for a year and then finds another way into the conference, maybe like Favre, but there is no way they're letting that happen again.
Yeah, well, for me, it's it's just like if you're going to make a play for him, you got to make sure that he is in for at least 2 to 3 years. You have to. Like if you're the Jets and you're going to go after him, you have to. You legitimately have to sit down with him and his agent and say, look, if we do this, we got to make sure you're committed to this. We can't have this, after every season, this whole, you're going to take your time and make your decisions. And if I'm Green Bay, in this case especially, he is the highest paid player in the league. They can't really do any more for him financially or the way that they treat him or allow him to do whatever he wants to do in Green Bay. Sure. So if you are a team that is acquiring him, again, like I've been saying, you better make sure that he does what Tom Brady did for Tampa Bay, that he has immersed himself and he is all in. Because if you're a year from now, let's just say a month from now, let's say there's going to be major excitement somewhere if he gets traded. And let's say it's here in New York. And a year from now, we could find ourselves in the same situation that we found ourselves with Brett Favre. You could end up, and then all of a sudden he's gone. All your assets are gone, and you probably have some long-term commitment financially on your salary cap. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it is. But I think that when you're recruiting someone like that, those questions are very difficult to ask, especially when you're talking about a temperamental person, like very sensitive person like Aaron Rodgers. The Jets, I can't see the Jets. If they had a phone call with him, and I understand it's going to be tough with him under contract or whatever the way it works. If they ever get a chance to talk to Aaron Rodgers, Joe Douglas, Rob Saleh, Woody Johnson, the upper echelon of the organization, I can't see them going, are you going to be all in, Aaron? Are you going to be the guy that's going to come here and do? They're not going to do that. They're going to be kissing his ass, talking about how great it would be for him to turn around this organization.
Honestly, I think you really he's a businessman. He understands what's going on. And he's 39 years old. And, he didn't start his first 4 years, so he's basically, got time left on the shelf. There's no question about that. But I think you have to go in there and you have to say to him, hey, Aaron, we want you. Don't get us wrong. We really, really want you. We think that you're going to be the piece that's going to take us to the next level. We just need to know that if we're going to do this, that you're going to be with us for 3 years. We can't just say this is a 1 year and maybe you're going to leave or maybe you're not going to leave. I got to make sure that you are the guy. I don't know why that seems to be so hard of a conversation to have.
Because Aaron Rodgers, he's probably going to get offended by something like that because he's Aaron Rodgers. He goes, are you serious?
Aaron,
you're telling me I've been all in my whole career. Now all of a sudden, what do you think? I'm going to come there, put
Aaron,
my feet up, I'm going to mail it in? You think I'm a mail it in type of guy?
No, I didn't say you're a mail it in type of guy. I think that you're going to be in, at least when you get here, you're going to be into it. But I just need to know that if we're going to spend the amount of money that we're going to spend and have to give you the guaranteed contract that you're going to want, then I just got to make sure that, look, we got to be, this got to be smooth sailing because there will be bumpy times. There will be bumpy bumps along the road and they'll lose some games and he may get banged up or whatever. But I just got to make sure that I'm getting a guy that is committed. So he's 39 years old. He's relatively in good shape. He does have injury history.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic football player. He's a guy that, you want to watch when you see him out there on the field, and it would be really interesting if he does come here as a Jet. But again, when you're thinking about what you got to give up and when you have to pay him and how you're going to pay him and how that could really disrupt your team moving forward, you got to make sure that he's going to be all in.
I think you have to assume that. Because what's he going to say? No? Like, you think he gets a conversation with the Jets and he goes, I don't think I am going to be all in. I don't know. I'm a year-to-year guy. I just don't, I'll play with you for a year. I have no idea. Well, you think the Jets are going to be like, so you'd come to us, we could guarantee a year with you, Aaron Rodgers, when we're a quarterback-starved organization, but like, I don't know if you're really committed the next year, so we're going to say no?
No, but you know what that does then? Then you go back to Green Bay and say, look, we're not giving you 2 first-round picks or whatever you think you want for us to take Aaron Rodgers off your hands. Now all of a sudden the compensation looks a little bit different from the Jet side of things. If you can't, I don't know why it's so hard to ask somebody that question. Are you in or are you not? Because if you're not in, then maybe we need to move on. You need to move on, and we got to go find out something else.
I think he's earned the respect for that to be an assumption. That's why. That's why I think it is. The guy's won MVPs. He's won a Super Bowl. I think when he's on the field, yes, the off seasons are crazy. There's no doubt about it. But when he's in that uniform, he is that guy that is all in, and he is trying to win, and he always has been that guy. And I think that asking him that question is sort of like, at what point in my career when I have taken the field have I looked like I'm not an all-in guy? I mean, it's not that long ago that I was the best player in football, and this past year I might have been able to do it again if I didn't break my thumb. Yeah, sometimes at 39 I have these journeys in the offseason, and I contemplate what I want to do with my life, but then I always end up coming back to football because that's what I want to do.
So are we kind of saying that it's either going to be the Raiders, the Jets, or the Titans?
Yeah, those are the 3 that make the most sense, yes. Now, the Tennessee Titans, I think that's more of a I don't know if he's got a relationship with Vrabel, but that's more of a, we know he loves Nashville. He just was there. He's got teammates and former teammates that live there. That would be like more of a, hey, if I'm going to go anywhere, I'll go there. But they got some work to do to surround him with some pieces there. In the New York Jets roster offensively, and you can confidently say this, and they know they got to do some work to their offensive line, but they got legit weapons. They got 2 legit stars. You hope Breece Hall comes back healthy, but in Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, and they are ready to go. And Elijah Moore, by the way, and Corey Davis with Aaron Rodgers. You think he's going to get the best out of those guys?
It would be a completely different set of circumstances for them, and they would be totally happy.
Yeah,
as opposed to bringing Lamar Jackson here.
Absolutely. So I think that if he's talking strictly football, I know Devontae Adams is in L.A. I mean, Las Vegas.
Yeah.
He's in Vegas. So that's going to be a huge, to me, the bigger competitor is the Raiders, but not to get too much in the weeds financially here. But as we talked about yesterday, the one of the teams that does not have that cash to be able to just pay Aaron Rodgers $50 million is Mark Davis and the Raiders.
True.
Now, Woody Johnson said he would make that big financial commitment. So, to me, if he wants to go elsewhere, and we're talking strictly football and a team that can pay him, then it's got to be the Jets. But he's a different type of guy. Maybe he thinks that he can have control over what the Titans do in the offseason. He's got ideas. Maybe there's a couple of guys. Alan Lazard's a free agent. Maybe he brings him over there. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I would be more scared about the Titans than I would be the Raiders.
Well, the other thing, too, is that Nashville and Las Vegas both.
No tax
states.
Yeah, but I got my W-2 yesterday. I was taking a look at that number. I was thinking about that.
Why do you want to do that to yourself?
I opened it up and I looked. You wouldn't look?
I know what it is.
W-2 comes in the mail. You don't want to look at it?
I know what it is.
You guys look at your W-2s? You take a look, you just bring it to the tax guy. You got to look. Have to.
I know what it is.
You do not look?
No.
He's got a wealth management team.
Yeah, but also his wife handles his finances.
He's got a huge wealth management team. You
Short
saw
Haven
them.
Wealth Partners, Red Bank, New Jersey.
Right, and they showed up at the Garmani event, Garmani Boom, and I mean, there was a gaggle of people. There must have been like 7 or 8 people. So
came out of a Bentley, 2 Bentleys.
100%.
Yeah. But does Marion look?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she looks. Okay. So somebody's looking at it in your family. I mean, that's just what I'm
saying. So
saying.
when you look at that number and you say, okay, so who are the jagoffs that we actually put in office to spend that money?
Yeah,
and how are they spending it, and what are they trying to jam down your throat?
Right. So the two things that I know they're spending it on is a football stadium in the middle of effing nowhere upstate New York that'll be open for 10 dates a year.
Okay.
That's several $1 billion.
Okay.
And then they just pumped in, and I hope they do it right this time because it would be a good thing. They pumped in $1 billion into mental health, but the last time that happened, it was the mayor's wife who was a part of some fakakta organization that just put the money on fire. So if you're going to tell me you're actually going to do it right and help some of the people out there with mental health issues that are on the streets and everything else, that's great. But I don't trust that you're going to use that $1 billion correctly.
How about free hotel rooms and food?
Right, exactly.
Okay, how about that? You want to spend money on that too?
No, I don't. And the city is paying $90,000 a day to the Watson Hotel to be able to house the migrants.
I think what we need to do,
bill.
we need to build up a hotel.
Why did you get me on this? How did this happen?
I don't know, because you talked about your W-2.
Well, you talked about taxes. How am I here now? Why am I talking about New York City finances?
You put these idiots in office. They're the
I
ones
didn't
who
put
decide
these
to
idiots in
spend
office.
your money.
I don't vote for the New York City people. I live in Sayville, goddammit.
Well, you also live in the state of New York.
Yeah, I didn't vote for her. What are you getting on me for?
I'm not getting on you. I just kind of, keep it real. That's all.
Man, oh man, oh man! You dragged me right into the negative abyss on this Feel Good Friday.
Well, it is tax season, as you know.
Yeah.
Go to Tax Slayer, do it for free. That's what I do.
Oh, that's what you do.
Yeah.
You're doing your own taxes these days.
Well, I got to be involved. I got to know what's going on.
Wow, you sitting there on your iPad doing Tax Slayer?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I just put the numbers in and kind of makes it pretty easy for me.
Okay. All right. Awesome. All right. It is Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. We're going to get Jerry Recco in here in just a couple of minutes.